In this episode of Intrigued Full Effect, I have a sad case update to a story I covered from the St. Louis area about 4 months ago. Shemika McGee, the mother of 22-year-old Jarius McGee, who vanished on September 13th of 2021 in Hillsdale, Missouri, confirmed with me over the phone this morning that her son's remains have been found. I've known about this for a few days, but as a journalist, I needed to know exactly how the family confirmed it before reporting it. And while Shemika was barely able to speak, she did give me exclusive details about the case. She said that her son's skeletal remains were found on Thursday, January 13th at around 2 p.m. at the 1800 block of Cherry Avenue, near a pallet yard in Hillsdale. And again, like a lot of people, I wanted to know how she could confirm that it was actually Jarius. And she said it was confirmed through his dental records and the clothing and shoes that Jarius was wearing on the day he went missing. She also believes that he had been at that location since the day he disappeared. And here's the thing, it turns out that pallet yard is less than 1 mile away from where Jarius was last seen at his mom's house, and less than a mile from the Hillsdale Police Department and City Hall. I also understand that the Hillsdale Police Department requested that the St. Louis County Crimes Against Persons Unit take over the investigation. And that's pretty typical for smaller police departments in that area because they usually don't have their own homicide unit. I also reached out to the St. Louis County Police, who are now leading the investigation, and they have not confirmed the remains as Jarius, pending DNA identification. But again, the family says he was in fact identified by dental records. At this point, the cause of death has not been determined or released. Meanwhile, the family is now planning a memorial service once the remains are released to the family. Shemika also applied for help from the Missouri Victims' Compensation Fund but was denied, but says she's planning to resubmit and appeal that decision. There's also a GoFundMe page that has been set up to help the family with expenses because Jarius' life insurance policy wasn't active when he disappeared. Well, I have to say that while the outcome of this case is tragic, Shemika says she feels some degree of peace knowing where her son is. She also wanted to thank every single person who shared her son's missing persons flyer, and she's thankful for all of your kind words and your prayers. At this point, a date for the memorial has not been set. If you have any information in this case, call investigators at 636-529-8210. I'll keep an eye on this case and let you know what happens next. Until next time, be safe and stay true. The views, information, or opinions expressed during the Intrigued Full Effect, Curious Cases, Disappearances, and Other Stuff podcast are solely those of the individuals involved and do not necessarily represent those of the host. The primary purpose of this podcast is to educate and inform. The host of this podcast assumes no liability or responsibility for any activities in connection with opinions shared in the podcast. The podcast and blog associated with it shall not be used in any legal capacity or as a basis for expert testimony. Any copyright material in the podcast is approved by the owner or is part of the public domain. Music by Pond 5.